Let's be honest, most so-called prestige period dramas are about as lively as a cold cup of tea. But what if I told you the best series set in the 1800s aren't just stuffy costume parades, but emotional thrill rides packed with betrayal, wit, and real grit? Which of these series did critics absolutely rave about, and which ones still managed to shock, seduce, or gut punch even the most jaded viewer? Stick around, because these aren't your grandmother's bonnets and ballrooms. Bleak House, BBC 2005. Start here if you think Dickens is only for literary snobs or high school misery. Bleak House is the series that blew up every old stereotype about Victorian TV. Forget the snail-paced, candlelit recitals you got forced to watch in English class. This adaptation is pure adrenaline, firing on all cylinders from the very first frame. It's legal chaos, forbidden romance, back-alley betrayals, and murder, all spinning around the court of chancery, where inheritance cases outlive the actual claimants. If you can keep up with all the subplots, you'll get a masterclass in how to juggle characters and cliffhangers. Andrew Davies, who's basically the king of British TV adaptation, slashes through the fog of Dickens' prose and gives us a mini-series that moves with the pace of a thriller. Gillian Anderson plays Lady Deadlock with an icy precision that practically radiates off the screen. Charles Dance delivers one of his signature "Don't Mess With Me" performances as the sinister Mr. Tulkinghorn. The supporting cast? Stacked. Carey Mulligan, Anna Maxwell Martin, Phil Davis, and Richard Griffiths give performances so sharp you'll forget you're even watching a period piece. And don't let the legal jargon fool you. The heart of Bleak House is a mystery, with a dead body pulled from the mud and everyone hiding something. This is Victorian London stripped of sentiment, crammed with blackmail, bankruptcy, and secrets. The cinematography is all smoky grime and desperate faces, and the pace never drags. Critics lost their minds over how fresh and cinematic it felt. It scored a Peabody, racked up Emmy nominations, and, let's be real, probably convinced more people to give Dickens a second chance than 100 classrooms ever could. If you thought period dramas couldn't keep you up all night, think again. Bleak House is what happens when you shake the dust off history and watch the sparks fly. Candleford, BBC 2007-2009. If you think small-town England is just Sunday strolls and endless tea, Candleford will set you straight. On the surface, it looks cozy. Lace curtains, giggling matrons, and gentle gossip floating through the air. But spend more than 5 minutes with the ladies of Candleford, and you'll see a powder keg just waiting for a spark. Set in the 1840s, as the first railroad threatens to crash through tradition, this is a story where every tiny scandal feels like the end of the world. And for these characters, sometimes it is. Judi Dench leads an all-star ensemble so talented it almost feels unfair. Dench plays Mattie Jenkins, the heart of Candleford, fluttery yet steely when it counts. Surrounding her is a parade of British acting royalty: Eileen Atkins, Francesca Annis, Imelda Staunton, and Julia Mackenzie, all dropping iconic lines and subtle glances like seasoned heavyweights. They turn everyday life, missing lace, milk gone sour, an unexpected visitor, into moments of real emotional punch. The humor is razor sharp, the heartbreak lands hard, and the show manages to be both comforting and quietly devastating at the same time. Candleford's real genius is how it makes the stakes of this tiny world feel massive. The town is on the brink of change, with the railway bringing in outsiders, new ideas, and, for some, the terrifying loss of everything familiar. Every episode hums with the tension between nostalgia and progress. The writing never condescends. It respects the courage it takes to hold on to hope when your whole world is shifting. Critics praised its warmth, wit, and ability to find drama in the smallest details. It picked up BAFTAs and stuck with audiences long after the final episode faded out. So don't let the doilies and bonnets fool you. Candleford is a masterclass in small-scale storytelling, where change rattles the teacups and dignity is a full-time job. It's a series that knows real life isn't lived in grand gestures, but in whispered secrets and quiet acts of bravery. The Way We Live Now, BBC 2001. Forget everything you thought you knew about Victorian respectability. The Way We Live Now is all about ruthless ambition, financial fakery, and social climbing on an Olympic level. This series doesn't tiptoe through parlors with shy glances. It barrels through mansions, parliament, and drawing rooms, led by David Suchet's Augustus Melmotte, a conman so audacious, you almost root for him. Melmotte isn't out to fit in. He wants to buy, bluff, and bulldoze his way into the British elite, and watching him work is nothing short of electric. The magic of this adaptation is that it refuses to sanitize. You get all the grit of Trollope's biting social satire, but with a pace that's more Wall Street than Dusty Dickens. Suchet gives a performance for the ages, part tragic, part monstrous, all magnetic. His daughter Marie, played by Shirley Henderson, quietly rebels against her role as nothing but a walking dowry, turning every scene into a subtle battle of wills. Around them, a cast of memorable side characters, failing writers, doomed lovers, and professional leeches pull you into a web of ambition, jealousy, and high-stakes deceit. This isn't just drama for drama's sake. The series skewers the hypocrisy of Victorian morals and the very modern obsession with image and wealth. The script never loses its edge, balancing sharp wit with moments of real emotional heft. Critics ate it up, praising the production for its energy, boldness, and sheer entertainment value. 4 brisk, punchy episodes condense Trollope's sprawling novel into a wild ride that's as timely now as it was scandalous then. If you want a period drama that takes no prisoners and actually makes you gasp, this is where you start. North and South, BBC, 2004. Let's get this out of the way. North and South isn't just another will they won't they in pretty costumes. It's a bruising, magnetic collision between industrial grit and fragile dreams. At the heart of it all is Margaret Hale, played by Daniela Denby-Ashe, a fiercely principled Southerner tossed into the smoky chaos of Northern England. Her world is spinning, her family is falling apart, and everyone around her speaks a different kind of English, sometimes literally, always emotionally. Enter John Thornton, the mill owner who could freeze water with his stare and start riots with his business practices. Richard Armitage delivers a performance so intense, you understand why the internet basically melted when this aired. But North and South isn't just about slow-burn stares across a factory floor. It's about class struggle, labor unrest, and the price people pay for survival. Every romance is tangled up with strike action, poverty, and the brutal demands of the cotton industry. What sets this series apart is how it treats its setting as a living, breathing character. The mill's hiss and clatter are as relentless as the social pressure bearing down on everyone. Every supporting character feels real, from the overworked laborers to the quietly desperate mothers. There's tension in every handshake and heartbreak behind every negotiation. Critics swooned over the show's fearless approach. Instead of syrupy nostalgia, you get a story with stakes, a drama that questions who wins and loses when the world refuses to stand still. By the time you reach the iconic train station finale, you're as exhausted and exhilarated as the characters themselves. North and South delivers on every level: romance, realism, and that irresistible punch of Victorian drama done right. Little Dorret, BBC, 2008. You want Dickens with depth? Little Dorret is the gold standard, part family epic, part searing social critique, all powered by the kind of performances that glue you to your seat. Claire Foy, years before anyone crowned her anything, is a revelation as Amy Dorret. She's grown up in the shadow of Marshalsea Prison, shackled by her father's debts and a system designed to keep people down. But Amy isn't just a victim. She's resourceful, quietly determined, and tougher than she looks, a survivor in a world built to break her. What makes this adaptation shine is the sheer scale. Andrew Davies's script doesn't cut corners or soften blows. The world of Little Dorret is crammed with debt collectors, bureaucratic vultures, scheming socialites, and enough twists to keep you off balance for all 14 episodes. Matthew Macfadyen plays Arthur Clenham, a man haunted by secrets, who's drawn into Amy's orbit. And the deeper he digs, the more the rot of Victorian society comes to light. The series bounces from gritty London alleys to plush parlors, never losing sight of the class divide. It's about hope in the face of cruelty, kindness in a world that's anything but kind. Critics called it flawless Dickens, and they weren't kidding. The cast is stacked. Tom Courtenay as Amy's tragic father, Andy Serkis as the gleefully sinister villain Rigaud, and an ensemble that breathes life into every line. Visually lush and emotionally raw, Little Dorret is proof that the right period drama can still feel urgent and relevant. This isn't just a story about the past. It's a masterclass in empathy, ambition, and survival. Our Mutual Friend, BBC, 1998. You want Gothic Dickens? Our Mutual Friend is pure Victorian noir, crawling out of the Thames with a corpse and a curse. From the opening scene, a body hauled from the riverbank, you're thrown into a world of scavengers, social climbers, and secret schemes. This isn't just a mystery. It's an epic journey through inheritance games, bone collectors, and the underbelly of London, all wrapped in the candlelit gloom that only the BBC can pull off. Anna Friel and Stephen Mackintosh headline a cast that eats up every ounce of Dickens' morbid, eccentric vision. Peter Vaughan is a highlight as Nicodemus Boffin, the trash king who inherits a fortune and discovers that money attracts vultures. David Morrissey is menacing as Bradley Headstone, an obsessive schoolmaster whose love turns into something far darker. And then there's Timothy Spall, Anna Friel, and a whole parade of desperate, unforgettable characters, each one clawing for their own slice of respectability or just survival. The pace never drags. Every subplot clicks. Every corner of Victorian London feels lived in, and the stakes just keep climbing. The production design is lush, but never fussy. The humor is bone dry, and the moral lines are as muddy as the river itself. Critics praised its audacity, its energy, and its unflinching willingness to show the rot beneath the ruffles. If you want a period drama that makes you feel like you need to shower afterwards, in the best way, Our Mutual Friend is the one to beat. He Knew He Was Right, BBC 2004. If you're looking for a study in self-destruction, He Knew He Was Right delivers a Victorian masterclass. This is not your standard tale of manners and matchmaking. It's obsession, jealousy, and pride, all wrapped in polite conversation and suppressed rage. At the center is Louis Trevelyan, a man who starts out with everything: a loving wife, a good reputation, and all the promise of a happy future. Then his mind turns against him, twisting every glance and innocent visit into a web of imagined betrayal. The story, adapted with typical sharpness by Andrew Davies, is a psychological drama masquerading as a social one. Bill Nighy is magnetic as the cheeky Colonel Osborne, whose friendly attentions to Emily Trevelyan trigger a slow, spiraling disaster. Laura Fraser brings both intelligence and heartbreak to Emily, a woman caught between her husband's suspicions and her own sense of dignity. Supporting players, from David Tennant's bumbling clergyman to Anna Massey's overbearing aunt, inject energy and dry humor at every turn. He Knew He Was Right isn't just about one doomed marriage. It's a full-blooded portrait of Victorian society in all its hypocrisy and anxiety, where gossip is as deadly as any weapon. The series crisscrosses subplots: sisters fighting over a vicar, ambitious young men gambling with love and fortune, and women struggling for a breath of independence. Every thread connects, every minor character feels crucial, and the cumulative effect is suffocating and exhilarating. Critics praised the adaptation's psychological acuity, its brisk pacing, and its refusal to offer tidy answers. You watch as jealousy eats away at love, and pride destroys happiness. The result is a drama that feels modern in its depiction of obsession, but never lets you forget how much is at stake in this world of fragile reputations. Dark, witty, and sharper than a needlepoint, He Knew He Was Right lingers long after the final frame. Middlemarch, BBC 1994. Every so often, a period drama comes along that makes the rest look like community theater. Middlemarch is that series. This isn't a tale of grand balls and tidy endings. It's about big dreams, bad choices, and the messy collision between hope and reality. Dorothea Brooke, played by Juliette Aubrey, is a woman with ambition in a town that wants her quiet and content. She marries the wrong man, sacrifices her ideals, and stumbles through heartbreak, all while never quite giving up on something better. Around her, the town of Middlemarch churns with gossip, envy, and the slow-burning agony of day-to-day disappointment. Douglas Hodge is electric as Dr. Lydgate, a young doctor who thinks he can change everything until the world drags him down. The supporting cast? Not a weak link in sight. Rufus Sewell pops up to add a dash of romantic chaos, and Patrick Malahide simmers with menace just under the surface. What really sets Middlemarch apart is its willingness to sit with its characters as they make awful, all-too-human mistakes. There are no easy villains, no fairy tale solutions. It's about compromise, morality, and the way life can crush the best intentions. Andrew Davies delivers a script so sharp you almost forget this was written nearly 150 years ago. Critics raved about its intelligence, its emotional depth, and its refusal to play nice with history. For anyone tired of period dramas that polish reality until it gleams, Middlemarch is a bracing reminder that real life is rarely that simple or that kind. Tess of the D'Urbervilles, BBC 2008. Think you know tragedy? Hardy's Tess of the D'Urbervilles will make you question everything you thought you could handle in a period drama. No sugarcoating here. This adaptation is as raw and honest as they come, stripping the story down to its bruised, beating heart. Gemma Arterton takes center stage as Tess, an innocent young woman whose life unravels under the weight of expectation, betrayal, and one cruel twist of fate after another. But don't expect soft-focus misery. Arterton plays Tess with strength, vulnerability, and a determination that makes every injustice sting. Eddie Redmayne, as Angel Clare, is both charming and infuriating, while Hans Matheson's Alec is the kind of villain who makes your skin crawl without ever resorting to cartoonish evil. The chemistry between Tess and the men in her life is never played for cheap thrills. Every decision, every heartbreak, feels earned and painfully real. Visually, Tess of the D'Urbervilles is stunning. The series was shot across the lush, often unforgiving English countryside, giving each frame an atmosphere of beauty edged with menace. The use of natural light, the unvarnished costuming, the constant sense that the world itself is conspiring against Tess. All of it pulls you deeper into her struggle. Critics singled out the adaptation's refusal to soften Hardy's message. Tess is punished not for her flaws, but for being at the mercy of a system stacked against her. There's no gloss here, no easy redemption. Instead, the show invites you to sit with Tess's pain, her moments of hope, and her all-too-frequent despair. You leave with a greater appreciation for resilience, for the random cruelty of fate, and for the rare flashes of kindness that keep people going. This is period drama as an emotional gut punch, and that's exactly what makes it unforgettable. Lark Rise to Candleford, BBC, TO 2008-2011. Don't let the honeyed title or sunlit fields fool you. Lark Rise to Candleford has more edge than most period dramas dare to show. Yes, there's plenty of pastoral nostalgia, but underneath, it's a slow-burning portrait of change, grief, and the collision of old ways and new ambitions. Set in the 1880s, the show splits its attention between two neighboring communities, the rural, tradition-bound hamlet of Lark Rise and the bustling, forward-leaning market town of Candleford. Young Laura Timmins, played with radiant sincerity by Olivia Hallinan, is our guide through both worlds. Her move to Candleford's post office, run by the formidable Dorcas Lane, a role made iconic by Julia Sawalha, marks her first steps into adulthood and independence. Every character, from family matriarchs to postmen, feels like someone you might meet at the village store, flawed, lovable, and carrying secrets. The show's magic is its patience. Lark Rise to Candleford isn't about dramatic reversals or scandalous affairs. It's about the slow, sometimes painful, sometimes joyous process of change. Poverty, class tension, grief, and the endless negotiations of family and friendship play out over 4 seasons, with storylines that resist easy answers. The landscape, lush, wild, and sometimes bleak, is more than a backdrop. It's a living force in the characters' lives. Critics loved how the show avoided nostalgia traps, focusing instead on the complexity of real lives in transition. Every triumph is hard-won, every loss genuinely mourned. This is a series for anyone who craves character-driven drama with deep emotional roots and no sugarcoating. By the time you leave Lark Rise and Candleford behind, you'll feel like you've lived there yourself. Vanity Fair, BBC, 1998. Victorian London never looked so sly. Vanity Fair throws you into the cutthroat world of Becky Sharp, one of the great anti-heroines of all time, and dares you not to root for her. This is not the place for saints or martyrs, just survivors, schemers, and the occasional hopeless romantic trying to stay afloat in a sea of gossip and ambition. Natasha Little's Becky is a force of nature, clever, manipulative, irresistible, and utterly unapologetic about it. She doesn't whimper about her fate. She grabs it by the throat and demands her share. Andrew Davies's script crackles with wit and bite, matching Thackeray's original scene for scene. The rest of the cast: Nathaniel Parker's dashing but foolish Rawdon Crawley, Frances Gray's endlessly suffering Amelia Sedley, Philip Glenister's loyal Dobbin, gives Becky the foils and victims she needs to shine. Vanity Fair doesn't try to soften its edges or redeem its lead. It embraces the chaos, leaning into every betrayal and reversal with relish. The costumes are pure eye candy, the set pieces are lush, and the dialogue never drags. Critics went wild for its energy, calling it the definitive Becky Sharp and hailing its refusal to moralize. You get all the scandal, all the wit, and none of the dull lessons. The show is fast, clever, and impossible to predict. If you want a period drama that refuses to play nice, Vanity Fair delivers a front-row seat to the most entertaining bad behavior in TV history. Just don't be surprised if you find yourself rooting for the villain. The Mayor of Casterbridge, BBC, 1978. Thomas Hardy wasn't known for giving his characters easy lives, and The Mayor of Casterbridge is proof. This story opens with a moment so shocking, Michael Henchard drunkenly auctions off his wife and child at a village fair. You almost can't believe it's not urban legend. The hangover is a lifetime. Henchard, played by Alan Bates in a performance that sears itself into your memory, swears off drink and climbs to respectability as the mayor of Casterbridge. But Hardy's universe is merciless, and the past is always waiting to pounce. What unfolds is a study in self-destruction, regret, and the impossibility of truly escaping your mistakes. Henchard's desperate attempts at redemption are undercut at every turn, not just by fate, but by his own stubborn pride and emotional clumsiness. Anna Massey, as one of Henchard's old flames, brings depth and pain to a character who could have been just another victim in his wake. Every supporting player, family, rivals, would-be friends, has their own stakes and their own tragedies. The series is unafraid to dig deep into the mud, both literally and emotionally. Dennis Potter's adaptation keeps things bleak and unsparing, refusing to flinch or sentimentalize. The cinematography captures both the beauty and the menace of rural Dorset, grounding the story in place and time. Critics admired its refusal to offer easy answers or tidy resolutions, calling it bracing, honest, and unforgettable. If you think period drama is just polite people drinking tea, the Mayor of Casterbridge will set you straight. Sometimes, history is best told as a cautionary tale. Wives and Daughters, BBC 1999. Don't let the gentle title fool you. Wives and Daughters is a powder keg wrapped in embroidery. This adaptation of Elizabeth Gaskell's unfinished classic starts off as a seemingly quiet domestic tale in a small English town, but grows into something far deeper, sharper, and more bittersweet than most viewers expect. Molly Gibson, played with perfect subtlety by Justine Waddell, is the ordinary heroine who becomes the quiet center of an emotional storm. She's smart, kind, and observant enough to see through every social mask. She just has the good manners not to call people out. What sets this series apart is how it trades in the big scandal for the small, relentless heartbreaks of real life. Molly's father remarries, and suddenly her world is flooded with new relatives, each one more complicated than the last. There's romance, but it's tangled in layers of expectation, jealousy, and unspoken longing. Francesca Annis is brilliantly chilly as the new stepmother, always playing a deeper game, while Rosamund Pike and Ian Glenn add extra depth and tension to a cast that never has a weak link. Andrew Davies, who wrote the adaptation, faced a major hurdle. Gaskell died before finishing the book, so he had to craft an ending from hints and fragments. He absolutely nails it, giving viewers closure without resorting to fake neatness. Critics loved the show's emotional honesty, layered characters, and the way it gently shreds the illusion that period life was ever simple. It's not about murder or melodrama, but about all the ordinary mysteries of love, loss, and growing up. By the time you finish, you'll realize the quietest stories can pack the sharpest punch. The Bchester Chronicles, BBC, 1982. Before prestige TV was even a phrase, the Bchester Chronicles set the standard for ensemble brilliance and high-stakes intrigue in Victorian England. Adapted from Anthony Trollope's Barsetshire novels and set in the 1850s, this series finds drama and comedy in the most unlikely of places, a sleepy cathedral town. But don't get comfortable. Here, clergymen wage psychological warfare, social climbers plot their next move, and every polite conversation is a battle of ambition, jealousy, and wit. Donald Pleasance is quietly magnetic as Reverend Harding, a genuinely good man caught in the crossfire of church politics. Alan Rickman, in a legendary breakout role, oozes menace and charm as the oily Obadiah Slope, making even the smallest slight feel like a declaration of war. Geraldine McEwen's Bishop's wife is terrifyingly effective at stirring up trouble with just a raised eyebrow or a whispered comment. The entire cast, from Nigel Hawthorne's simmering Archdeacon Grantley to Susan Hampshire's sparkling Signora Neroni, brings every corner of this world to vivid, unforgettable life. What makes the Bchester Chronicles endure isn't just the sharp writing or pitch-perfect performances. It's the way it finds real stakes in the most trivial disputes, whether about church funds or the pecking order at tea. Critics hailed it as one of the BBC's finest hours, praising its intelligence, subtle humor, and the slow-burn pleasure of watching ambition, loyalty, and hypocrisy collide. This is period drama with teeth and a twinkle in its eye, a perfect finish for a list that proves just how juicy the 1800s can get. So there you have it, 14 period drama series that rip the corset right off the stereotype and serve up the 1800s with fire, wit, and unfiltered drama. Think one deserves the crown, or did I miss your hidden favorite? Drop your pick in the comments and let's keep this debate rolling. Make sure you hit like, subscribe, and share if you want more history that actually feels alive. Remember, in the world of great period drama, the past is never as quiet as it looks.